how West tried to patent India's kitchen. Does that mean like the spices? Okay. Well, why would they try to patent? America doesn't even use spices. Why? It's okay. Let's America food is too bland. Way too bland.
Did you know, in 1995, US granted a patent for using turmeric or haldi to heal wounds? This is the actual patent document. The patent was granted to University of Mississippi in USA. But how can this happen? Because the healing properties of turmeric were not a new invention. Indians are already using it for thousands of years. But this was not a one-off case.
Turmeric? Wait, how do I say it? I say turmeric? Why do I say turmeric? You mean like tortoise? Yeah, you know, like how you don't say tortoise, right? You don't say tortoise, right? It's tortoise. It's tortoise. I don't think it's an English word, which is why it's tortoise. The I-O doesn't actually make the oi sound because it's not an English word, because English isn't English. Its word comes from, words come from everywhere.
In early 1990s, a multinational chemical company, W.R. Grace, tried to patent Neem plant. In 1997, a US company...
So that just reminds me, this right here, reminds me of Spain originally had ownership of all tobacco. All tobacco was owned and operated out of Spain. And this was like the 1800s or 1700s, 1800s. I don't remember my history correctly. And there was someone who had smuggled a plant out of one of the gardens in Spain, smuggled it to the US and planted it on US soil, and was literally built a chain off of it, because in the US's mind, no one should have a monopoly on a plant. And then here we go, just a few centuries later, the US has tried to have a monopoly on a plant. Because, yeah, that's how the tobacco plant came to the U.S. It was a man from Spain who wanted to make a profit and cut into Spain's monopoly on tobacco. So he brought it, planted it, and it grew like a weed because the soil, especially where he planted, was just perfect for tobacco. When I hear tobacco, I think Virginia and Cuba. I mean, yeah, basically.
Company patented basmati rice.
In
2003, a company called Monsanto patented a variety of wheat that was grown by Indian farmers for thousands of years. In this video, I'm going to show you how Western corporations try to claim ownership over Indian heritage, how patent laws were weaponized to exploit the developing world, and how India went on an offensive to take back what was always ours. Welcome to the second layer. For the last few centuries, the world was ruled by colonial powers. British exploited spices, cotton, tea, indigo from India, palm oil from Africa, and sugar from Jamaica. The Spanish Empire, for example, mined silver from Bolivia, gold from Mexico, and sugar and tobacco from South American countries. Now, while taking away these resources, no benefit was given to the local communities. For example, if British Empire took spices from India, British Empire
they were used to work.
Whole profit, not Indians. But when the modern patent laws arrived, these developed countries weaponized the same patent laws to essentially do the same thing that they were doing before. That is, profit off the resources and biodiversity that is present in their colonies. There is a word for it. This is called biopiracy. Now let's go back to the turmeric case. In 1995, the University of Mississippi Medical Center was granted US patent number 54015.
So many of deserving scientists' Nobel Prize got stolen by these neo-colonial institutions. I mean, I have no clue. I have no freaking clue. I don't believe there should be like those award type things. I mean, certainly some people deserve recognition for the work they've done, but for the most part, I don't see what $1 million trophy and document is really gonna mean. I really don't. I really don't, but who knows?
504 for the use of turmeric in wound healing. Now they claimed it was a new invention. Now if you're an Indian, you're probably laughing. Turmeric or haldi is in every kitchen. It is applied to cuts, it's applied to burns, it's even used in beauty creams.
Yeah, it's funny. For me, especially tomato, you put tomato on a new burn. It helps bring down the pain, and it helps prevent it from puffing up and swelling. I don't know how much it does with the actual burn scar. Maybe turmeric is better. But yeah, it's funny how there have always been these rural remedies for things.
In fact, it is used by us Indians from thousands of years. So how did US Patent Office approved this patent? How did US Patent Office?
Because they had no clue what it was.
They missed this because whenever a patent application arrives in front of a US patent examiner, the examiner looks if this is an actual new invention. Now this means searching through published scientific papers and journals which are usually in English, and understandably so. But things like healing properties of turmeric are either present in old Sanskrit texts or even passed down orally, meaning some of these things may not even have a written record of them. So for the American legal system,
Boiled
it doesn't exist.
ghee?
Now this healthy patent,
Is that ghee or ghee? And turmeric mix? Ghee? What is it? Homemade butter. Homemade butter and turmeric is an instant heal wound. I mean, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. For me, I mean, I'm trying to think if I had actually any rural remedies other than tomato. Well, yeah, you did. You did, but I'm trying to think that I did even prior to you basically hoisting all your witchcraft on me. All your dark magic of throwing like pepper and salt at my face, you know, all that Indian witchy knowledge that you passed down my way and used to heal me. I have to include that. But yeah. I mean, my wife was the one who basically introduced me to most of that. But for me, it's like I worked in a kitchen, so I always knew that like tomatoes. Because what's the quickest thing? You can't go to the first aid kit when you're working in a kitchen. The first thing you do, you grab a tomato, slap it on, and then you heal your burn as you just continue working. Yeah, my first job was in a kitchen, and that's how it worked. That's how it worked.
sent shockwaves in India. The India's Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, or CSIR as it is called, decided to fight. They dug up ancient Sanskrit texts and crucially a 1953 paper from the Journal of Indian Medical Association proving that we Indians as a society already knew about the healing properties of haldi. In 1997, CSIR won. The US Patent Office...
Like, I don't think patents should work for something that can be put in soil and grown. Unless someone scientifically engineers a brand new plant, I don't think it should work. It just shouldn't. You should be looted. And made them together? Yeah, to make a new splice. Well, of course. Well, that makes sense. If you're gonna make a patent, you have to literally do something like that. That makes sense. If you're gonna take two different rice varieties, breed them together, and then make something that's far more can grow far more quickly, and yeah, you can put a patent on it at that point because you've done some kind of scientific research and done something to make it different. But when it's something that's literally been out there for decades, for centuries, for what's after century, millennia, eons, whatever it is, no, it's not needed. It's absolutely not needed. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. There has to be proof that you have done something significantly different to turn it into a brand new plant. That makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. Not like, oh, we got this plant, we planted it and realized it could be used for healing properties. So we're just going to put a patent on it that anyone that uses it, we can sue for, because they're not supposed to know that you can use it for healing properties. Like, what the heck?
Revoked the patent. Now this was a landmark victory. Why is that? Because it was the first time a developing nation successfully defeated a US patent based on traditional knowledge. But for the biopirates, this was just the start. Take the example of neem tree. Neem is a Hindi noun which is derived from Sanskrit word neem. Neem leaves contain a chemical called azadirachitin. Now, this chemical is harmless to humans but toxic to insects. In India, that is why neem leaves are kept in rice and wheat containers so that insects stay away from grains. Its oil has been used to treat skin issues. Neem seeds are also crushed to form powder, then soaked in water overnight, which is then sprayed on crops, and it acts as a natural insecticide to protect these plants. Indians even have used it as a toothbrush. Now, in the early 90s, the multinational chemical giant W.R. Grace isolated this azadirachitin and filed a patent for this in the European Patent Office for method for controlling fungi on plants by using neem oil. Once again, India had to fight. Indian environmentalist Dr. Vandana, along with CSI...
See, like the only thing you can patent is the process of extracting it. If you create a whole new process to extract it, I could understand that being patented. But if it's something common like, oh, we're just smashing leaves and getting juice out of it, no. But if you're doing like a whole kind of distilled process in order to get the purest form of concentrate, you could do that. But not the entire leaf. Again, not the entire leaf. That's where it's like, no, that's gone too far. Because I think that's what India does. They do like the manufacturing patent instead of like patenting the thing itself. You do the version of how it's created. You own how it's done, not the product itself. That's how you can literally do things that other nations are doing, but you just do it differently. You have a different way of going about it, like in medication. That's how India has some of cheap medications, because they don't do it the same way other nations do it. Like the US, for example. They can make it far cheaper because they have a different way of doing it.
Challenged this patent. Now, they argued that the antifungal property for which W.R. Grace was granted a patent was already known since centuries and
Ozempic patent just expired. How old is the Ozempic? I thought that was brand new. How old has that been? How long has that been around? It just expired. Now India is producing it as generic meds with very much affordable for the world. I'm gonna wait to see what the ramifications of Ozempic is. I'm gonna wait. See if there are any long-term issues. Because I'll just wait. And if it works, screw going to the gym. I'm taking a pill.
commonly prepared in Indian rural areas. Its derivatives were extensively used as low-cost antibiotics and antifungals. Now think about this. If this patent was not revoked, no medicine having neem oil could be sold without paying a royalty to W.R. Grace, an international American multinational corporate, which would have made these Indian medicines very expensive. Now, this battle with W.R. Grace took 10 long years, but finally, this Neem patent was revoked by the European Patent Office. It was a victory, but it revealed a terrifying problem. Fighting these cases one by one costs millions of dollars and takes years. India needed a better strategy. Now, even though we were able to protect our traditional medicinal knowledge, modern world health costs are actually not cheap. Just look at the medical inflation rate in India. It is around 13 to 14%, much higher than overall inflation rate. Here, a good health insurance is obviously mandatory, but think about it, why you still haven't bought one? Now, I have realized the real problem isn't insurance itself, right? It's the lack of clear, simple guidance.
Sorry, man, I'm jumping ahead.
Are limited. Now, back to the video. While the turmeric and neem case
we will soon into a pharma war now. I mean, there has been a pharma war for a while. Again, there should always be a way for people to get help. There should always be. It should never be astronomically expensive. Like for me, I'm always afraid to go to the doctor because I don't want to be hit with a bill, even with insurance, of several $1,000s. And then I'm like, okay, I have to make this work because I don't have money. Come on. I work a dead-end job. I have to pay my expenses. I can't afford much. It sucks.
Were about medicine. The next wave of biopiracy was even more dangerous because it targeted the food security of India. Multinational corporations now wanted to own the very crops, very plants that you eat. Let's talk about Monsanto. In 2003, Monsanto was granted a patent in Europe for a specific type of wheat. This wheat had unique gluten properties that made it perfect for baking crisp biscuits. Now the interesting thing is the same wheat plant called Nafal is grown in Uttar Pradesh. And since Monsanto patented this exact variety of wheat, India had to act. Bharat Krishak Samaj, or Community of Indian Farmers, challenged this patent, and in 2004, the patent was revoked. They argued that the invention, that is, the traits that make crispy baked biscuits, was merely the expression of the Nafal wheat's natural properties. It was not an invention by Monsanto, and that is fair. Monsanto didn't invent this trait. But again, this showed a massive risk. If corporations can theoretically patent seeds' natural properties, they can legally stop farmers from planting those specific seeds. Do you understand the danger right now? And then there is this case, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. In 1997,
that's the end goal of a lot of big companies, is to own the world. to own the world to where people can't own anything themselves. You're paying rent. You can't own a place to live. The land you live on isn't yours. The medicines you need aren't yours. Like, look at the streaming services. The movies you watch aren't yours. All this stuff. They want that kind of world where everything is on loan and it can be taken from you immediately. And that's scary. That's scary.
Texas company called Rice Tech got a US patent for basmati rice. And they didn't just patent a new seed. They essentially tried to claim ownership of the name basmati itself. They marketed their own rice as Texmati. Now let's understand what is basmati. Basmati is a variety of rice which is long, having a minimum length of 6.61 millimeter, and it's thin with a maximum width of just 2 millimeters. Today, 65% of basmati rice is produced by India, and the rest 35% is produced in Pakistan. So a US patent on basmati rice was a direct threat to India's economy. If Rice Tech, which is the company, tried to enforce this patent on India, they could potentially block Indian basmati exports to the US, or even force Indian farmers to pay royalties to grow a crop that in fact Indian ancestors sort of developed. So India fought back hard. India prepared evidences up to 50.
Capitalism, individualism, nothing is yours, you are the product. Yeah, and it's working here in the West. Nobody owns anything. Like, so many people get in debt because they want to buy into this consumerist mindset instead of living on a bare basic. Like, I don't want to do anything unless I can afford to do it. And it's just insane. But that mindset is lost on the West because everyone wants to be they want to follow their favorite trends online. They want to follow their favorite Instagram models. They want to get the latest Labubu, but Labubu's dead now. Whatever the next big consumer purchase is, they all want to do that. They spend thousands upon thousands on that, only for that to completely disappear and never mean anything in the first place.
1,000 pages of documents and submitted them to the US Patent Office, proving that the traditional knowledge and the biodiversity associated with basmati was actually cultivated for centuries by Indian farmers. After a 3-year-long legal battle between the governments of India and the United States, US Patent Office had to finally revoke the basmati patent of the company Rice Tech. Later, India and Pakistan also
the
obtained
war is
GI
going
tag,
on right now.
or geographical indication tag, for basmati rice, which means only rice that is grown in the regions of India and Pakistan can be legally called basmati.
Mm-hmm.
For example, only
like in tequila can only be grown or bottled in Mexico. If you literally use the same plant, you have the same brewing process, everything, anywhere else, you can't call it tequila. You can't. It's against the law. You can't patent it. It has to be called something else. It has to be called something else. But that's the thing. It's just like you could literally do everything exactly the same, but you have to name it something different because tequila, the name tequila, is literally owned.
Sparkling wine from the Champagne region of France can be legally called champagne. For example, only tea grown in the Darjeeling Hills of India can be called Darjeeling tea. This is what GI tag, or geographical indication tag, means. But now, India realized that playing defense wasn't enough. India cannot afford to spend millions of dollars every time a foreign company tries to patent something that is traditionally known to every Indian. So India built a digital fortress. Now this digital fortress is called the Traditional Knowledge Digital Library, or TKDL. The Indian government launched a massive project to digitize over 5 lakh ancient medical formulations from Ayurveda and Yoga. Each piece of text was read, then the medical formulation was identified, and then it was saved in a digital database. But they didn't just scan the books. They translated this knowledge into 5 international languages, namely English, German, French, Japanese, and Spanish.
So everyone who likes to steal.
Now when a patent examiner is examining a patent, he or she can look at TKDL database in their computer and find out if the patent in front of them is actually a new invention or not, and then take an informed decision. And TKDL, that is Traditional Knowledge Digital Library, has been a game changer. So far, globally, close to 370 patent applications have either been rejected, set aside, withdrawn, amended, abandoned, based on the prior art evidences present in the TKDL database. Even the cost of fighting foreign patent applications has reduced considerably.
Yeah, because it's already there.
India spent 7 crore rupees for fighting the basmati patent by Rice Tech. Then, India also tightened its laws. In 2002, India passed the Biological Diversity Act. Now, this law made it compulsory for foreigners to get permission from India's National Biodiversity Authority or NBA before accessing biological resources. Now, in 2009, when Monsanto created BT brinjal by using Indian brinjals and crossing them with CRY1AC gene, they did not take permission from the National Biodiversity Authority, which they should have because they're using Indian brinjal.
It's funny. I hear that and I'm like, I can't take my dad to India again because he has a habit. Anytime he sees seeds, he pockets them. He pockets them because he likes to grow things in his own personal orchard. I think that would be okay, but for the most part, he still likes to grow things. Well, he's not going to call it his creation. You're right, but at the same time, it breaks the law. You're not allowed to do that, and you're not allowed to bring it onto another nation without notifying them. But yeah, because the seeds are dangerous. Sometimes there are things in the seeds. But yeah, my dad has a habit of always pocketing plant seeds because he's like, "Ooh, I want to grow this. Ooh, I want to grow this. Ooh, I want to grow this." Every time.
Because of which, criminal cases were filed against them in the Karnataka High Court. Now, this Biodiversity Act basically said biopiracy isn't just a normal patent dispute anymore. This act made this normal patent dispute into a serious crime. But as India builds its digital library, corporations are changing their strategies. We are entering into the age of digital biopiracy. In the old days, a researcher or a scientist had to physically smuggle seeds or leaves out of country. Today, they don't need the seed, they just need the data inside the seed. So what can scientists do? Scientists can now simply sequence the DNA of a plant and upload the code onto the internet. This is called Digital Sequence Information or DSI. A corporation in US or Europe can download that code, synthesize the active chemical in a lab and create a medicine without ever touching the plant or even visiting India for that matter. And because they didn't physically take anything with them, can you still charge them under Indian or international laws? I am not sure. But the point is, the law is trying to play catch-up. Very recently, in October 2024, a UN Convention on Biological Diversity was held in Cali, Colombia. Here, they created a Cali Fund. The idea is to charge fees, let's say 1% of profits or 0.1% of revenue on companies that profit from this digital sequence information or DSI. This
Smuggling?
will then be distributed to
My father's not addicted to smuggling.
DSI was used to make a new drug, new chemical, whatever. But by 2025, the sad part is this fund was largely empty because of lack of clarification and if this contribution will actually save them from legal disputes in the future. Then again, there is one more final loophole that these corporations have, and that loophole is international waters. Nearly 2/3 of the oceans today is international waters. Now, if you find a plant in the international waters, who owns that plant? No country has ownership there. Recently, BBNJ Treaty was passed in the United Nations, which basically said this. If a company finds a gene in a deep sea animal, for example, some parts of the profits and some part of the research needs to be shared with the world. Is it effective? I don't know. Time will tell. So the question is, why does West want to own Indian medicine? Simply because countries like India, Brazil, Africa, they have a huge range of biodiversity. There's a good chance within this biodiversity, a cure for cancer is hidden. A secret to unlimited food supply is hidden. India has successfully transformed.
I thought they found the cure for cancer. Isn't that the... We'll see.
From victim into a global leader in this intellectual property defense with tools like TKDL as we discussed. But now, from defense, we have to move towards actual innovation. The good thing is, unlike many countries, we already have the raw material, which is extremely rich biodiversity in our country. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and don't forget to enroll in the free...
Yeah, I need to do the like button. Like? How does he only have so few likes? Oh, he needs more subscribers. Oh, I am subscribed. Oh my gosh. Yeah. When it comes to this kind of stuff, there's so many, like for me, especially when it comes to health, you would think the people would be the top priority. You would think if it comes to like medication and things like that, if it's a cheap plant, if it's cheap to grow, if it's cheap to manufacture, if it's cheap to, then the costs would be down. But no company is really like that. That's why you have to fight for every inch because you know that the people taking it and trying to literally utilize it and monopolize it aren't doing it in good faith. They're not trying to actually help people. They're trying to seek a profit off of it. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing is just sad. You wish it wasn't there. And the fact that the laws will never catch up to what people are doing. People always find a workaround, especially in corruption. And it absolutely is just corruption. That is absolutely, it is ridiculous. It's we need to start... Again, I don't believe one world could ever truly work because so many people are from so many different backgrounds that they would never truly fit in a different kind of nation that doesn't fit their like mold. But at the same time, people can find common ground and be able to talk. So eventually there will be a point where people can actually understand their neighbors without having to harass or target or belittle their neighbors. But it'll probably be centuries before we get to that point if we don't burn ourselves out before then, if we don't ruin this planet before then. But yeah, it's just that's the thing. It's just like there will never be a one world mind. There never will. Contrary to how some people feel, there never will be. There never will be. Unless AI takes over, and then that'll be just makes it easier. Countries need to share knowledge and exchange. Yeah, there has to be something. Not all for themselves. Well, nations always need to be for their people first. That's the thing. They need to be for their people first. It's the problem is it's when the people at the top are just trying to line their own pocket and literally taking from their own people. Like just look at medication in India versus medication in the US. Which one is trying to help its people more? I think it's pretty obvious. Yeah, a nation's people is always first. Then you can have close ties with a neighboring nation. That's just how I see it, because like a neighbor, some neighbors you'll get along with better than others, but in the end, you all share a street. You all share the same area. You need to be respectful towards each other. It's that simple. It's that simple.
You guys got a video? So bad.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Wait on that.